I guess it's not one thing. It's kind of one of those things that happens to everyone, but it seems like in the last, I don't know, 5 years, it happens to me more and more where I will think about someone or something, and literally the same day I will run into that person, or they'll phone or they'll email. And, and I think, when I think of the medicine wheel, the sacred circle, and I think about how, Mother Earth connects everything through the huge ecosystem of the earth, I just think that energy piece, and again, I'm not religious or anything like that, but there's something to be said about, because I'm very good at reading people's auras, and I can feel people when I walk into a room. I can walk into a school and not meet a soul, and I can feel what the school is like, that kind of the thing. But I think one of the coolest things in the last, 4 or 5 years that I've really held on to and I've noticed is that when something crosses my plate and it's something that I thought about, I will pursue it. And I wouldn't before. I'd be like, it's a coincidence. You know what? That's deja vu. It's like, no. And so as that happens more and more, I'm especially in the last 5 years, but more so in the last 2.5 years, I'm more attuned to when those coincidences happen, and I don't ignore them anymore. And I think because of that, and paying attention to it has opened up so many more doors, and more conversations. Like, I never dreamed of being a guest on podcasts when I wrote my book. And now, I just think in the last year, I've had conversations with people from Spain, from England, from India, from New Mexico, from Alabama, from Calgary, from Toronto, and having a conversation with you, Kirsten, that's what's miraculous, is that because I didn't ignore the obvious sign in front of my face that most people would brush off to a coincidence, it brings me to like, I never expected that we were going to dive into talking about truth and reconciliation and colonization. I had no idea that was what was going to happen today. And it all came because of this coincidence. And it just so happened that you're fascinated by it. And that's what I'm talking about right there. Capitalizing on those little miracles where we can't ignore something like that, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a subject that, I went to seminary. I have a master's of divinity to a very liberal seminary. And, I grew up overseas, so I've seen a lot and in third world countries. And so I'm very aware of the privilege that I have. But I'm also aware that white people, if we can generalize, have done a lot of things that have been incredibly terroristic and damaging to the rest of the world. So I'm always looking for the place where healing can be found. I wanted to just say, if I'm not speaking out of turn, that I bet that school considers you a miracle. Thoughts?
You know what? I think I take a lot of pride in how. Have you ever heard of the expression shama? Have you ever heard of what a shama is? So Indigenous people where I'm from, they call white people shamas. It's like the N word for white people, I guess. And when I first got there, the first reaction was, and it wasn't said directly to my face, but there was a lot of, is he going to turn this into a shama school, into a white school? And I didn't. I embraced. I mean, I went in knowing chief and council needed literacy and numeracy rates to go up because kids need reading, writing, and arithmetic. But I've embraced everything that they are, and now I'm allowed to. It's funny because there's certain things you can't say as a white person that Indigenous people can say. And I now, when I say something, they joke about it. They look at me and they say, you're allowed to say that now. And I'm like, well, I'm still a shama, so I don't know if I can. They go, no, you have our permission as long as it's around us. And so I feel like now that there's certain things that they laugh about with me and they joke about with me, that I'm one of theirs, and I do refer to them as my family, and I refer to the community as my family. And I actually dedicated the book that's coming out in November 1st to the Lower Nickel Indian Band, and its community, because yeah, they're my family now. And so, yeah, I think they probably think that because they've let me in the gates and I'm there.